You can also now watch Packard Pokes At on Atheism TV at youtube.com/atheismtv and, as always, on youtube.com/Packard Pokes At. Come to the live show and chat with us on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on vonlive.tv/Packard Pokes At. See you there!
Do you really like Packard Pokes At and want to promote the show? Then go to cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At. There are hundreds of items available, including hats, shirts, hoodies, and so much more. Every purchase from cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At helps support the show. Your Packard Pokes At coffee mug is waiting for you.
Do you want to stream Packard Pokes At on your iPhone or BlackBerry? Download Stitcher free today at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
You're on in 3, 2, 1.
This is Packard Pokes At, and I'm poking at your news. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another fine edition of Packard Pokes At. I am your immutable and self-muting host, Packard Sonic. Before we get started, we had some wonderful comments based from the last show on one of the news stories we did, and please keep these comments coming. And MacNuts, if you're out there watching, please keep watching. I hope no personal, nothing got personal between us, because it's not how I wanted to sound out like that. But I get very passionate about what I'm talking about. So anyway, we have a wonderful show tonight. Join us tonight from the far, far East Coast is Joe Unseen.
I'm going on an overnight drunk, and in 10 days I'm going to set out and find the shark that ate my friend and destroy it.
I'm sorry, Joe, but that wasn't a shark. I was really hungry.
I will use dynamite.
Good. I needed a little something to help bring up the rest of it. And join us from the far West Coast is Practical Magic.
Being excellent to everybody for at least the last 5 years.
There you go. Oh, well, we have some wonderful stories for you tonight. We were scheduled to have a guest, but due to unforeseen circumstances, he wasn't able to join us tonight. But he will be joining us later on, but he will be coming. But tonight, we're just going to do something we haven't done in a long time, a regular show. So let's get on with our first topic for this evening.
Building a better future, science and technology.
The AIDS virus. It's been a very problematic virus to eradicate. Of course, there's been a lot of viruses out there over the years that have also been very difficult for us to eradicate and get rid of. It's taken a lot of time to come up with vaccines and cures for these particular viruses. And now AIDS has a vaccine. Not a cure per se, but it is a vaccine. Out in Surrey, Canada, and Western University announced today that Phase 1 clinical trials for the SAV-CT01 is the first and only preventative HIV vaccine based on genetically modified killed whole virus, the SAV-001-H, has been successfully completed with no adverse effects in all patients. The antibody production was also boosted after vaccination. So this is a very long article. I won't get into all of it. There'll be a link at packardpokesat.wordpress.com. The tests that they've been doing to come up with a vaccine for this, it's just simply amazing. The fact is that AIDS has been pushed out there, mostly by the religious people when it first came around, by saying that, hey, this is a disease sent by God to punish the homosexuals or punish the people who are having sex outside their marriage or whatever bullshit they wanted to come up with. But now we have a vaccine, and it's going, hopefully, it'll be out before too long, and the next time you go to visit your doctors, you'll get a shot for a vaccine for AIDS. And like I said, it's not a cure, but at least we're starting to get a grip on this very deadly disease. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is cool, and I hope it works. One thing I didn't get from the article was that it says that they tried approaching HIV from a new way, similar to the way they developed the polio vaccine. Mm-hmm. And I would think that they would have tried that tried and true way first, before anything else. But I guess the way that HIV is just so tricky that they tried other ways with this. The one thing that might make this different is that they genetically modified an actual HIV virus for use in this, and that genetic modification knowledge or technology might not have been available before now. So yeah, science for the win.
Yep. And I was looking back in the timeline when the AIDS virus first showed up. It was actually been in this country since the 1930s. And
really?
They estimated sometimes in the 1930s, a form of the simian immunodeficiency virus, the SIV virus, jumped to humans in Central Africa. And then it mutated and became the first human immunodeficiency virus, the HIV-1. And then the first known case occurred in a person who died in the Congo, later confirmed having HIV infection from preserved blood samples in 1959.
That's interesting. The first case that I ever read about was that they think someone in the 50s might have died from it.
Yeah, there was. It says here that in June 28th in New York City, Albert Anteno, a 49 Jamaican African shipping clerk, died of pneumonia canaminoma, a disease closely associated with AIDS. So it was, back in the 1959s. Apparently that's when it jumped from simians to humans in the 1930s. Now the misconception here, let's get one thing straight. The misconception, everybody thinks, some guy went out and fucked a monkey. No, no. They got it from the meat. Basically, they're
eating raw bush meat.
Yeah, they're basically eating the meat of these simians, of their apes. It's, I personally, I think that's close to cannibalism as you're going to get legally, I suppose, because they are distant cousins and everything like that. But they would eat the meat from these infected apes and primates and whatnot. And this is how the AIDS virus got into us initially. There's actually a version of AIDS for cats too. So, this is a very deadly disease.
Don't eat your cat.
Yeah, don't eat your cat, Well, well, not all cats. I'm not even going to go there. Your thoughts?
Through following this article, I'm realizing that there's a really big push. I hadn't heard about it, but there's a really big push to test everybody for HIV. And because, unless you know whether or not you're even susceptible, then how are you supposed to prevent it, or at least treat it? And I, having had a couple of friends who have died of it, and at least one friend who currently has HIV, I am really excited that they might be unlocking this. And I echo what you said too, also, Joe. I don't know why we didn't go with a killed live version of the disease.
Right.
It's same as we did with smallpox and things. I don't know why that hasn't been tried before. But so maybe it's just the prejudice of who was showing up with the disease prior to this. I don't know. So
they may have thought
extremely exciting.
They may have thought that the fact is, even if a halfway killed version of it, because the AIDS virus transmits and changes so quickly, they thought, well, maybe if we just kill it, give it a halfway life, that it would probably just come back anyway. It would just spontaneously come back to life, or just change completely around. Or maybe that's what they had to do, is like Joe said, that they had to genetically modify it so it could.
It was a safety issue.
Yeah, it was
for a long time though. People thought, well, will you get it from kissing? Will you get it from how casual a contact will you get it from?
Or sharing food, drinks, things like that. I don't know. I'm still not 100% sure. I know it's bodily contact for sure. That's a given. Like bodily fluids, sex,
bodily exchange of fluids.
Right.
Yes.
So and spit is a bodily fluid. Last time I checked, unless you carry around spit in a bottle.
Well, I think casual kissing is fine. It's
right.
Yeah, not like you have your tongue down their throat, I suppose.
Well, opens. I think it's more to do with open sores where it becomes in contact
with human blood.
The blood, or blood vessels, which depending upon the opening,
Yeah. Right.
I mean, we have more blood vessels in certain areas than others.
Right. The thing is, though, overall, the fact is that we're starting to get a handle on this. And you know what? When this gets to be bigger news than just, us little channel out here saying, there's a vaccine for it, the fundies are going to, their heads are going to explode. So,
yes.
And Jenny McCarthy is going to be like, stop it, stop, just don't eat fish.
I don't know what they're going to say. There's so many bizarre things that they're going.
Well, they consider this to be a judgment on people who have casual sexual contact
Yep.
and people who are gay and whatnot. So, yeah, for them, there's a lot to lose.
Oh,
by
yeah,
just
absolutely.
being treated.
Yeah, if you ask a fundy if there was a medicine that you could take, oral or whatever, it doesn't matter, a vaccine, so you could go and have sex with anybody for any reason, and you wouldn't get, if you didn't want to, you wouldn't be able to get pregnant, or you wouldn't be able to get sick from somebody else, like herpes, gonorrhea, AIDS, whatever, if there was a vaccine out there for it. And I've asked people like them this, and they would say, no, that's terrible, we can't have that, we've got to have these judgments on us. It's like, why would you want this? It doesn't make any goddamn sense to me, but
That was ironic.
yeah, exactly. It's completely ironic. We're trying to cure these things. We don't want these things to be around, but anyway.
It's like the hysteria over the HPV vaccination, which young girls have to get when they're 12 years old, and they're like, well, no, you're telling them it's okay to have sex. No, we're preventing cancer.
Right. Exactly. It's just total lunacy. But anyway, speaking of total lunacy, let's move on to our next story here. Google.
Google.
I only say it's lunacy because the word Google, it's just a fun word to say, and so is lunacy, and they both have double O's in there.
Put 4 fingers in your mouth and say Google.
No, it's all right. I won't do it. Not on air. And
Google.
there you go. They've been working on a car so it can actually drive itself, and they're getting ready to push this out to the general public. They're saying that maybe the first Google cars, which will be completely autonomous, will be available in 2017. If I'm reading this correctly, you'll have them available commercially in 2017. Now, what's really interesting about this is that if you've ever seen the movie Total Recall, not the second one, the first one, where Arnold Schwarzenegger
with Arnold
Schwarzenegger. So he gets in. They have these things called Johnny Cabs, and they're all completely automated. You can manually take over the car, and it was in that movie anyway, but these cars are completely automated. You just tell it where to go, you're gone. With these automated cars, I can see a lot of advancements that are going to come down the road because of this. Now, one of the things the article said, that a lot of people who are Joe, me, Connie, we're going to get behind the wheel of these cars. That's what they're saying. People of our age, they're going to go, I don't think I'm ready to let a car make a decision for me. I have a hard enough time with my computer, so but the thing is, we're not going to be around forever, and these new technologies are coming up, and they're going to take over, and the younger generation is going to accept them and just become comfortable with them, as every younger generation generally does. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, this solves the problem of whose turn it is to be the designated driver.
That's for sure.
Woohoo! Yeah, I mean, I like to play on my phone when I'm in a car. When I was at work, I used to always be the guy that drove, and then I got a smartphone, and I was like, oh, you can drive. But today on CNN, they posted a story about pilotless passenger airplanes. And I was going through the comments, and a lot of people were like, no way, and that can't be safe. And my first thought was, I have to unplug and replug my router sometimes just because watching YouTube screws it up. How the heck are they going to have an airplane that can stay remotely connected to a pilot on the ground? And so
what if he falls asleep?
Yeah, exactly. Well, one person made a great comment. They said the pilot in the plane has more reason to keep the plane safe because they're also in it.
Yeah.
Whereas a guy remotely piloting is like, well, I guess I lost this bunch.
It's a video game.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just try again tomorrow.
I'll just put some new hey, I ran out of change. This game's over. Can I get any more quarters over here? Come on.
3, 2,
get another
1.
heart. Bring, bring.
But, I wonder the same thing for this technology. A self-driving car will not be autonomous. It will rely on data from networks and GPS connections. And the article mentions this briefly, but in the context of consumers paying for their automobile's data plan.
Yes.
So, what's the excuse going to be? Sorry, I'm late. My car drove in circles in a dead zone.
And, there was one other thing that was interesting that I thought they mentioned. They said that eventually this could eliminate stoplights, stop signs, because this way, if it senses other cars are coming, we won't need these things because it'll all say, okay, it's your turn, as in busy intersections and whatnot. Or if you're go to work early in the morning like I do, and you get the flashing red, or you have to wait for a stoplight where there's nobody coming for miles around.
Don't get me started about traffic lights. That technology could totally be better than it is now.
Oh, absolutely. I quite agree.
I mean, there's no reason why at 3 in the morning you should stop for non-existent traffic.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
yes.
So anyway, yeah, and I completely agree. You sit there forever waiting for this light to change, and then you just get so fed up, and you go through, and then you get pulled over by a cop that's hidden behind the bushes. Go, why'd you go through that? It's like, it's 3 a.m. Where's anybody around? You know. So
And I got to get home because I've been drinking so much, and I just can't get caught by a cop.
Oh, Connie, your thoughts?
Well, on the negative, the questions that were brought up, well, what about bandwidth? Because obviously we're talking about, that kind of technology. I had to wonder about charging. What if the electrical grid went down? And I don't know. But at the same time, I really don't get a lot of joy out of driving. I used to maybe occasionally, if you're behind a really nice car with a stick shift or something, but imagine a crashless world. Imagine that if you didn't really have a driving need to, no pun intended, but to have like airbags and seatbelts. If your car automatically could sense that you need to slow down or speed up, and like you've already pointed out, what about like traffic signals and things? To me, the idea of how would you design a car if all you had to do was sit in it and read or listen to music or visit with your family, and it's a long road trip. I think that we would eventually probably, one of the first incentives might be, well, we'll just make this section of freeway just for driverless, cars that are like this.
HIV. Yeah.
And think of the advantage as you're watching these other cars go down the road. Think about not having what did this say for insurance?
Yeah, that's
I'm actually excited. Here's George Jetson, like Bionic Dance says, where's my
flying car, damn it?
Yeah, where's my flying car? I'm really excited by it. And even though people of my generation, and since I'm the elder in this group, we might say, well, what about the feeling that I'm in control of my car? But as I approached an age where, I know my grandmother, my grandmother on my father's side, drove onto the freeway the wrong way with her sister, and the police pulled her over and gave her you shouldn't be doing this, and then they kind of laughed and drove off.
We've had stories like that where people drive onto the wrong end of the freeway and just ends in tragedy. You get like several car
my grandma,
accidents.
it was comedic. Everything she did was comedic.
Oh, jeez.
But to think about the autonomy, we mentioned this in the meeting too. What if you're blind? What if you're think about the freedom that even elderly people might be able to experience by not having to be actively an active driver. Other things would not hamper us. So it could be a real freeing thing.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
Yes,
elderly drivers, disabled drivers, all sorts of things. I mean, a friend of mine, he drives a cab, and he drives a lot of medical patients to their doctors. His main thing throughout the day. It's
also kind of cool. Now, if no one needs a driver's license, especially someone that's blind, we could say, okay, I need my kid to go to the grocery store to pick up something, but it's just a little too far. So okay, here, I'll just punch you in the car, and then they just go get their stuff and they come back. So
yeah,
that'd be kind of cool, So
well, would public transportation also be on the same kind of thing?
Oh yeah, now I think that if we start seeing this out there, I think public buses would be a good place to start, actually. Yeah. Because the fact is, there's only so much room. But the downfall of that is, unless you've got cameras in there monitoring everything that's going on, of course, you're going to get vandalism and whatnot. I suppose the bus driver is going to be there to lead to that.
You still probably would need people at the base monitoring things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's get on to our next topic for this evening.
It's the Onion Radio News.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
If you're out on Craigslist, and you can get just about anything on Craigslist, you can get one nostril nose picker if you wanted to get one, I suppose, if you looked hard enough. But when you go out to buy things on Craigslist, the things that sometimes you look for is the one thing you thought nobody in their right mind would want to buy. And I'm talking about a used pregnancy test. Yes, women are online selling fresh, used pregnancy tests that show that they're pregnant. The problem with this is that women are out there and they're going to go, hey, I want to make sure I get this guy and, show him up, say, hey, I'm going to play a trick on him so that you get the little ring on the finger, or just to make him pass out or make him, freak out or whatever. The thing is with this, I think this is a dirty, rotten trick. Honestly, I mean, if guys could get pregnant, I think this would be outlawed immediately. But this is not a nice thing for people to do. These women put comments on there. You want to get your boyfriend to finally pop the question, play a trick on mom, dad, or one of your friends? I really don't care what you use it for. This is not even a joke. Don't do this kind of shit. Joe, your thoughts?
Packard, I'm pregnant. I have the test to prove it, and now you need to man up and be my baby's daddy.
Oh, that's great, Joe. What are you expecting?
Yeah, I agree with you completely on what you just said about it being a really mean trick to play on someone. But these tests, they're usually expensive anyway. Mm-hmm. These people are selling them online for $25 to $30, which is about how much they paid for them.
Right.
So really, anyone buying this is paying for someone else's test.
Right.
And like you said, like, what are you going to do with one? Like, play a joke? Like, that's not a joke. That's not something you joke about.
No, I don't think so.
Even though I just joked about it.
The possibility of you being pregnant, Joe, is 0.000000000. I don't have enough zeros. And so I know it's a joke.
That's because I told you it was okay. What really is, it's not okay.
Right. Connie, your thoughts?
Oh, my thoughts are many and extremely volatile. But first of all, I did go ahead and I went to Craigslist and I tried around the country, just a few places. It wasn't exhaustive. In California, I found an ad that was flagged, and in Kansas, I didn't find an ad, but I found a response to an ad.
Really?
In Texas, I found ads that were still up. I didn't find any in New York. I did find them in LA and New Orleans. Now, as far as how much these tests cost, they can claim all they want to in these ads, but I happen to know, being a dollar store shopper, because, I'm pretty, lower income person, they sell them at the dollar store. Mm-hmm. So, and it wouldn't even have, to me, what I really think about this, I think that it's just stupid and awful, and I have the misfortune of having known at least 2 or 3 women personally in my life that have gotten pregnant after assuring, again, some 22-year-old guy, 21, 22, 18-year-old guy that, oh yeah, I'm on the pill. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about birth control, and again, it's on their own. It's the onus on the guy to use protection, but they go ahead and they get pregnant, just to have a baby, keep the guy, or both. And to me, this is just so stupid. This is called fraud. Mm-hmm. It's called fraud if you went to court. And I think personally that it's not funny and it's stupid.
Yeah.
And to be honest, again, I don't have anything against some girl who really loves a guy and gets pregnant because, you know what, we're human beings. And we have sex,
Yes.
We have sex for a lot of reasons. Yeah, for a lot of reasons other than, getting married. And I understand that. I think that guys have they have balls when it comes to birth control. They have abstinence and they have condoms. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why we don't have a birth control pill or method for guys.
We need one. We really do.
We really do. And we need to just think differently about sex. But you know what? There's a lot of people out there, primarily those prudish people of religious mindsets, who think that, if you get pregnant or get an STD, that's God's judgment on you for having sex, because we think it's wrong outside of marriage. So for me, and what gets me about this whole thing is that it's not just about the guy. And it's not just about the woman, because granted, you get pregnant, that's 9 months, but what we were talking about is another life.
That's right.
And what we are, the choices we're making for those children. And so I go, this is stupid. Mm-hmm. This is just a greedy, stupid grab, and shame on these women or these people who are promoting this fraud.
Right.
So that's what I think. Sorry.
You know, and you actually touched base on something, a male pill, for example, birth control
Yes.
for men. Now, I've seen this said by women out there. Say, well, I don't want a guy to have to take a pill because then I lose all control of my reproductive rights on this. It's like, excuse me, how does that influence your reproductive rights? Because they're worried that the guy will say, well, I'm on the pill, and then they'll get knocked up. Or they'll say, well, I want to get knocked up, but I don't want them to know. I want them to get me knocked up. So I'm going to I'm going to tell them I'm on the pill and I want to get pregnant. But if they're on a pill, then I can't get pregnant. And then then they can't use these tricks on people.
I think those women should have their heads examined, and they should be taken away I think there should be a test for being a parent sometimes. And I think that would be a prime candidate for a person. And I'm sorry, I'm really speaking very angrily right now, so it's coming very much off my cuff. But that's what I really think, because those kind of people, the kind of guys who just have sex and they don't care about how many babies they're making, and the kind of women who just want to get pregnant because they want what they want. They want a baby, or they want a man, or they feel that they need to be loved, and they need another person to validate that love. Guess what? You aren't ready to be a parent, and you shouldn't be. I don't think you should be a parent.
And and of course, there's also some women out there that have children just so they can get pregnant, and then they go, "Oh, well, I didn't want to get married or anything. I just want the child support."
Yep.
There's those
and yes, and honestly, that's the women that I've met before, and I'll just leave it at that. It's not the how much I hate these women shows. So.
Right. No, but
yes, you're right.
Or they'll do this to some guy, and they'll say, "Well, I don't want to keep the baby, so I'll get an abortion, just for you." And they'll say they're going to get one, and then they'll give them, X amount of dollars to get an abortion, and then they're going to go and use the money for something else, just so based on this fake test. So then there's going to be those other ones out there. Let's get on to our next story here. A guy who owns an African gray parrot. He was threatened because the bird will not stop singing "Oh MacDonald," the Addams Family tune, and he often squawks, "Police, police!" Parrots are very intelligent. They are right up there with dolphins or toddlers or whatnot, and they live quite a long time. If he was living out in the middle of nowhere or on a Old MacDonald farm, as it were, no one would give a shit. But because he lives in the city, people complained, and it just ends up being a waste of taxpayer money. Joe, your thoughts?
Is the parrot pregnant?
Not as far as I know.
I looked at this article. Had a lot of pictures, and it had a little video of the guy playing with his bird, and the bird is cute. And the complaining neighbors should be dragged into the street and shot in the back of the head.
What?
And that's my thoughts. No, but really, how much noise could this bird be making? I mean, It's like leaving a TV on or a radio on. It's just silly. They need to lighten up.
Actually, I did have a neighbor one time when other than Madison did have a bird, and they were several doors down in the apartment building. You could hear that thing squawking quite a bit. And the birds can get pretty noisy. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here. I can understand the neighbor's concern, because if the bird is constantly squawking, if you're trying to sleep, you got to get up early in the morning or sleep during the day, then, that could be a pain in the ass. Any other thoughts, Joe?
No.
Connie, your thoughts?
Well, I tried to look up about African greys, and evidently they're the best mimics of all parrots. And they do talk a lot. And the owner, I'm looking it up here a second, Stephen White and his wife Glynis, they say, well, he's not really making that much noise, But it does say in one of the animal care websites that they can be screamers if they don't get the attention they want. Not the owners, but the gray parrot, African gray parrot. And so I'm like, well, they're quite loud, I guess. So,
well, sometimes having a screamer is a good thing. No, never mind.
Well,
that's a whole other topic.
Exactly. What is the parrot screaming? Oh God! I would love to hear it sing the Addams Family thing one time.
It apparently whistles it.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think that's really funny. You know what? It's a real quick comment here that President Andrew Jackson's pet African gray. I didn't know this. He had one as well. It was named Pole. He was removed from his funeral because he was swearing. So
wasn't that funny? I saw that
funny.
in that one thread. I thought, oh, that'd be That'd be hilarious.
I could just see it. I was like,
right?
where the hell is he? Where the fuck is he? Where the fuck is he? Ah, fuck you. You know, get that bird out of here. This is a holy ceremony. He's cursing. So
he's just saying what the guy before him said. He said what Adam said.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Probably. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Presidents do swear, people. Don't think they don't. Just because you see them like, oh, prim and proper, you think they don't swear. Fuck you. You're living in a dream world then. But anyway. Speaking of living in a dream world, let's get on to our next topic for this evening. We're talking about Castro tonight, the guy who held those women hostage just a few days ago. He hung himself in prison. He's dead. Now, a lot of people are saying that, you know, most of the Christians are saying, oh, well, he's going to burn for hell in hell forever now. Well, you know what? Fuck that. Because, one, there's no hell. Two, if they had been keeping a proper eye on him, they could have kept the little motherfucker alive until he died of natural causes in prison. The thing is, he kept several women for years imprisoned in his home. And he goes, I'm not a monster, I'm just sick. You know what? He was a fucking monster, in my opinion anyway. And the thing is, he couldn't even hold out a single month. The county prosecutor said these degenerated molesters are cowards. They con and capture vulnerable children. This man couldn't take even a month, a small portion of what he had dished out for more than a decade. So, you know, and he had these women in his custody, well, not even custody, imprisonment for over several decades. And these women were prisoners. They couldn't get out.
And they were tortured. He wasn't being tortured.
Oh, yeah, and tortured
He was just sitting in a cell.
Yeah, and yeah, he wasn't being tortured. These women were being tortured by this guy, but he couldn't even stand 1 month in prison. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts were a lot similar to yours. When the story first broke, I saw a lot of people saying, like, good riddance, he's going to hell, burn in hell, motherfucker. And it's like, yeah, what's really happening here is he got out of punishment. He saved himself from a life in prison. On a humorous note, somebody posted this funny thread. It was either a screenshot from Facebook or Twitter. I don't remember which, but they said, Ariel Castro is now dead and Cuba can be free.
Yes.
Wrong Castro.
All these people replied to it like, yes, now maybe Cuba can be free and da-da-da. And I just held my face. I was like, oh no.
That's the problem when you have two people who have the same names and one happens to be famous, you know.
Well, the other one is Raul Castro, so like I actually had to look it up. I didn't know it offhand. I was like, well, I know they're talking about the wrong Castro.
Yeah, this is Ariel Castro. Yeah, it's just.
Well, it's good for the Cubans living in Cleveland.
And you know, I didn't realize this, and I hadn't heard about this. He was also a school bus driver, and that just pisses me off to no end because I was a school bus driver for 9 years, and I had to take charge of children, and to know that there's somebody out there who had access to children and had kidnapped these people for decades, I was like,
it's definitely scary.
It scares the fuck out of me. So it makes me think twice about letting them get on the bus sometimes. But that notwithstanding, there's a lot of good bus drivers out there. I mean, I know I was one of those people anyway. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to this, Joe? I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Okay, kind of your thoughts.
Yeah, well, and these girls, these women, they were kidnapped when they were teenagers, weren't they? I mean, if I remember the story correctly. And, you know, at the very least, this is a failure of our mental health system. Because if we want to say that Castro was sick, then there should have been appropriate steps taken that way.
Yeah.
And that's not to give him anything, but no, the stories about now he's being punished, now he's in hell. I'm going, no, he's not. And is this your way of thinking that justice is meted out? But I don't know. I mean,
and no, I don't care who it is. Even it doesn't. Let's just say, for shits and giggles, let's say hell did exist. That would still be a finite crime. Infinite torture for a finite crime is horrific to begin with.
Right.
But not not that I wouldn't like to say, hey, he's there for a short extended stay, and then I could say okay, he's there for one small eon or half an eon, that's, or maybe as much time as he had these women held captive. Then
what I hate about this whole thing is it makes everybody else, have to be these, I don't know, amateur psychologists, because obviously Castro was intelligent enough that he knew he had to hide it, and he supposedly hid it from even close family. He chained these women. He didn't just, lock them in a room. Evidently, he had them in chains, according to something I read, which, again, I might be wrong on that. But that shows incredible cognizance to me that he knew he had to hide this that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know where these people, what rock these people crawl out from underneath, and I don't know. But I don't know that I want to know. That's what I really hate about this whole thing. It's like I'm trying to figure this out, trying to find a place in my brain for it.
Right.
And I can't.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, when people like this are in prison, you're going to get people out there. They have the mindset that, well, he's going to burn in hell anyway. And these people are in charge of the people who they're entrusted to care for. Now, when they said that they attempted to resuscitate him, because dealing with the prison system, you're going to get those people who are like, yeah, okay, well, let's try to revive him, kick him a couple times, say, get up, man, get up, come on, get up. They may not even tried to actually resuscitate him. They're just like, oh, well, they kind of like touch his chest. Yeah, come on, let's see if we can get you going again.
There was an episode on House, the TV show House, where they had a prisoner, and there was a question about how much age should they give him, because he was somebody who had done a heinous crime, or he was on death row or something. Again, it's been a while ago, but it was an interesting moral question. I was like, well, wait, especially for doctors.
Yeah.
But how hard should we be trying to resuscitate this person? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, because I don't know what happened.
No,
but I'm just saying, but is it in the realm of possibility? Perhaps it is.
Yeah.
But, people out there, and some people who become jailers or whatnot, they become desensitized to everybody else around them. That the fact is that, they get somebody that's in their charge that's, done heinous things. And they don't, not that they don't want to show any sympathies from them, they just don't give a shit at all of anybody else's well-being once you get behind the prison walls.
Well, that can be the problem with any kind of correctional or police.
Absolutely. And that doesn't even matter what it is. Let's say you're in there for smoking a joint in the wrong place, and then you get the shit beat out of you by somebody who's like, do you think they fucking care? No, they just kind of look the other way. I've seen a lot of prison movies, and I'm not saying I've ever been to prison or anything like that, but but these things happen, and I'm sure that they happen out there. I mean, there's a lot of stories like this, and a lot of this stuff is based on stuff that actually happens in prison. So, I mean, come on now. The fact that he was, did they try to resuscitate him? I don't know, but they did say that they are going to still look into it, because they said a thorough review of this incident is underway. The Frank County coroner said the cause of the death was suicide by hanging, and his injuries were consistent with using a bedsheet. But he didn't leave a note. But they did say, because he was a person, it said, this is a human being, he added. I'm sorry, this is somebody else that said this. He said, this is a human being, we added, we're not going to let this go. So, yeah, we still would like to find out if he had committed suicide, or maybe somebody else got a hold of him and strung him up. Who knows? It's hard to say. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's get on to our next story here. Speaking of bed sheets and things like that, out in Michigan, at the Masonic Temple, there was a rather large party. Nothing so much about that, except for it was a sex party. When I was in my early 20s, I would have loved to have probably gone to this. Would I have participated? I don't know. I was never gone to one when I was in my 20s, so I didn't even know these things existed. But up in Battle Creek, Michigan, it was basically kind of an orgy. They had women out there that were, dancing nude on the stage, and the cops said, just get your clothes on, get the hell out of here. But apparently there was a lot of drugs and things like that. So I was like, this is a kind of a weird thing. They did pony up $900 to rent the building, and they were indoors. It's not like they were out, having sex out in the street. But I don't understand why everybody has this problem with people getting together and just, let's all get together and have sex. Let's change partners right away. If what happens between consenting adults, none of my damn business. Joe, your thoughts?
Hey, it's a secret society for a reason. They build secret Masonic lodges so they can do each other secretly. And also run the world. But as you mentioned,
they did say they did find drugs apparently, but they weren't clear exactly what kind of drugs they found.
Right. Well, they're usually the good kind then.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, it wasn't the Masons throwing the party; it was some people that paid $900 to
Right.
use the space.
Right.
Silly them to rent a party space right next to the police station.
Mm-hmm.
And it was across the street from the courthouse. So hello. But,
leave your shoes and close at the door. Yeah, that's not suspicious.
What kills me, and I think Packard, you can back me up on this, is you throw a drug and sex party, and there's always that one person that gets out of hand, and then the police are there, and whose drugs are these? Whose pants are those? Am I right, Packard? I mean,
I wouldn't know, Joe, but you didn't send me my invitation to the last party.
I invite you to all my drug and sex parties. You never invite me to yours.
I never have any, Joe. That you know of, anyway. Totally kidding. Totally kidding.
You're kidding about not throwing them, I know.
Sure I am. No, Connie, your thoughts?
A summary of the police report printed in the Battle Creek Inquirer newspaper mentions only the naked women dancing on the stage. Why am I not surprised? I'm assuming then that the drugs that were being used were of the more olfactory kind, and the windows were open.
Oh, jeez.
And the police were smelling the air. If it was indoors, why did anybody care? If it was in a...
Right.
Who reported this? A drug-fueled sex party.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Those are the best kind of parties, I hear.
I can't handle this anymore. I'm having too much sex.
Secret society rituals. Yeah, okay.
And it says
you'll love the Colonel. You're going to buy my chicken.
They said that from the sources said that the first officer walked inside was shocked to find a couple performing a lewd sex act along with drugs, multiple women and men videotaping all behind closed doors.
Which part shocked him?
I guess because they were all naked, I guess, and the fact is he maybe he was more shocked the fact is he didn't get his invitation.
He says,
no one gave him.
I would have joined them. I would have joined the lodge if I'd known.
I'd join a Masonic temple if I knew that that's what they're doing there. Hey, where do I sign up for that? No, I'm just kidding. I want to hold the camera and then I can start making some money. Why is the camera so jiggly? No, I'm sorry.
Do I also get to get the buffet with this, or is my goodness?
Oh, that's just too funny. Too funny.
Well, they are Freemasons.
Yes. Yes, they are.
Woohoo! We're Masons. Yeah, build me a concrete wall, yo. Get that all-seeing eye off the pyramid. I got something to show it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, with that, let's speaking of Masons and secret societies, let's get on to our next topic for this evening.
No sex, no drugs, no wine, no women, no fun, no sin, no you, no wonder it's dark.
The Hate Bakers. I'm talking about this couple. They owned a bakery shop. They're called Melissa's Sweet Cakes. Or Sweet Cakes by Melissa. And they had a Facebook page and everything like that. And, there's a lot of bakeries out there. Problem with this particular bakery, when a couple, it was a gay couple that came in. I don't know if it was lesbian or two gay men. It doesn't really matter.
It was a lesbian couple.
It was a lesbian couple? Okay.
Yeah.
When they came in, they said, hey, we want to get a cake. Nothing unusual about that. That they said, no, because we don't approve of your lifestyle, so we're going to reject your business. We don't want your lesbian money. We don't want to do anything with the lesbian community or the gay community because God says so. And they said some really offensive, deeply offensive things on their Facebook page, and then they quickly pulled it down, but not before someone got a screenshot of them. I'm going to read this briefly. Now, mind you, I'm going to preface this right now that this is not my language and not language I use on a daily basis. In fact,
use the first letter and say word.
All right. Well, I could do that. I will say the word fuck.
No,
no fucking word, no fucking way. I'm not gonna say that. But
I'm not gonna say fuck.
But they said some really, really foul things. They said, "Fuck the N word." I have to say this because there's no word for it otherwise. It says spics, whores, sodomites, fat bitches, ugly C words, hypocritical hoes, and overweight hippos on our feed. We try hard to bake cakes, and all you ungrateful bullies hate on me and my beautiful family. After these articles are written, shame on you. After they just, said all that nasty shit, shame on you. If you don't like our business, don't stop by. More cakes for our fellow Christians. Really? Wow. You use this type of language and you're calling yourself a Christian? Wow, you're awfully loving. If Jesus had been real, then and he was in a grave somewhere, obviously, then he'd be rolling in it right now with language like this.
And what did Jesus have against overweight hippos?
Right, exactly. Especially especially the ones that like cake. And then they go on to say Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and they repeat Genesis 1:27. And then they posted that on there. It's like, you fuckers have not even read the goddamn Bible. First of all, if you're going to go by, what it says in this, a book of myths, I bet you he has a tattoo somewhere on his body. But you see them rejecting couples coming in there who have tattoos on their body? No. Because not that kind of lifestyle. They approve of that. But in Leviticus, it says you can't have tattoos. Will they reject someone who has that? No. Or if they eat shrimp or anything like that? No.
I was just gonna say, do they put shrimp on the cakes?
Yeah, yeah. Do they? I bet you they eat shrimp too.
This is delicious.
It's shrimp cake. So the thing is that they're crying out now is the fact is that your economic terrorism on our business.
You're discriminating against us.
You're discriminating against you're doing economic terrorism. Anytime it's with the GOP, people who have this mindset that if you discriminate against them and you force them out of business because they're being assholes or bigoted or whatever reason, it's economic terrorism. No, it's called the free fucking market, and we're just exercising our right not to use our money at your fucking location. Joe, your thoughts?
If you do business with the public, you aren't allowed to discriminate.
That's right.
If you discriminate, you can't play victim.
That's right.
I mean, you can't sit there and say, I'm being discriminated against because I have the right to discriminate. No, that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. What's the real cherry of this article is that screenshot from their Facebook. Mm-hmm. And it's so great that somebody grabbed that before they deleted it because Glenn Beck, Fox News, CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network, they all came to champion these two. Like, look at this. Look at these poor Christian bakers that just want to be good and godly and make cakes for people who are good and godly too. And they're sitting there talking about the N-word and spics and all those other things on their hypocritical hoes. What is that? What hypocritical hoe? Like, like where in the Sermon on the Mount was any of these things mentioned?
Yeah, and overweight hippos. Where I'd like to see the overweight hippos.
Yeah,
and thou shalt not feed the overweight hippos on the Sermon on the Mount because the mound may sink.
But yet they make cake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're just idiots.
Yeah,
and they don't deserve to have a business.
Yeah, exactly, and they're getting exactly what they deserve.
Exactly.
Connie, your thoughts?
Oh, well, by the way, it's called Sweet Cakes by Melissa in Gresham, Oregon, and evidently they're trying or have moved their business to their house. The business people's names are Aaron Klein and Melissa? Yeah, Melissa Klein. Their earlier incongruities was Aaron Klein when the gay couple the lesbian couple Rachel and Cryer and Laurel Bowman came in and tried to order their cake, he said they were abominations unto the Lord and said that their money was not equal. But, I find that ironic because the last time I checked, the tender of all American money says it's, under God.
Mm-hmm.
And Klein is claiming that the religious freedom has been violated, but I say no, your religious bigotry has been exposed, and it's been held to the fire of public outcry. I hope that this business goes down in absolute flames. I
hope so too.
I
generally, I'm behind the small market, the small businessman. I usually am, but when you're a bigot, then you have no fucking right to deal with the public at all.
Then don't deal with the public, exactly.
Right. Yeah,
just sell your cakes to your church friends and have a regular day job, unless you have a mega church that you're going out of. It doesn't. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm really hoping that these people get what's coming to them. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. They got exactly what they coming to them, because the fact is they're the ones that put themselves out there. It says, hey, you're this, and this, and you're just like, who wants to deal with people like that? It's like you think FedEx would be around if they say, oh, well, we're not going to go to black neighborhoods, we're not going to go to gay neighborhoods, we're not going to go to gay houses. They just say, you got a package? Let's pick it up. We'll take it out there, Same. That's all it is. But if you go into any place and they say, well, we're not going to deal with gay people, then you know what? Then they deserve all of the condemnation that the public can force on them and force them out of business. And you know what? Fuck them. Fuck them in the ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about fallacies. For the month of September, we're going to be talking about all kinds of fallacies. I've got a selection of fallacies we're going to discuss. Now, your question, especially logical fallacies. Now, if you're asking what a fallacy is and what is the difference between a fallacy and a logical fallacy. A fallacy is basically just a mistake, when you make a mistake when you're talking or whatever. But a logical fallacy is a mistake in reasoning. So there's all kinds of logical fallacies and all kinds of mistakes someone can make, but when you make a mistake in your reasoning, then your logic is broken or not connected, and it's like trying to do a math problem and you come up with the wrong answer. That would be a mathematical logical fallacy, as it were, but it's all happening inside your brain. But tonight's logical fallacy we're going to be talking about is the bandwagon fallacy. Now, the bandwagon fallacy is basically, I'll give you a brief example here. Well, everybody knows that God exists because there's so many people who believe in God. That would be a logical fallacy. That's the bandwagon fallacy. Because you think just because an opinion is very popular, that does not necessarily make it true. Or just because everybody likes Brussels sprouts, that means that Brussels sprouts are really good for you. No, that's another logical fallacy. Brussels sprouts may be good for you, but just because everybody likes them doesn't mean that they're good for you. So we're going to start the timer with Connie here. The timer is right here. Here we go. And the timer starts now. Connie.
Well, it's an argument that is related to the red herring, and I thought it was really interesting that today Fox News host was posted, there was a thing on the Raw story. She's tired of atheists' demands for freedom of religion because they don't have to live here, and trying to basically claim that, well, this country is based upon God and belief in God, and so everybody can get out. The ad populum is also quite widely used in advertisements. It's like, everybody, 9 out of 10 people, use Crest or to brush their teeth. That's not 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Crest, for toothpaste. And just because, but then again, everybody used to think that the earth was flat. So, if we went by that, then okay, obviously the earth must still be flat.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You mean the earth's not flat? Damn. I wanted to jump off the edge and see what happened. I'm just kidding.
Well, it happened in the movie Sinbad.
That's
actually quite a good animated feature, but that's neither here nor there. But it's fiction.
That's right. It's fiction.
Yeah. It's interesting because it sounded a lot like a few other fallacies. It kind of bleeds into them. But yeah, just the argument that, hey, everybody else is doing it. Everybody else thinks this is true, so it must be true.
Yeah. And that's just not the case.
No, a groupthink.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's a groupthink. Most people, they get together and say, "Oh, well, this has got to be true because we all think it's true."
Yeah.
So it's got to be true. No, that's not how logic works. It's based on a series of events that that makes sense. Like I said, it's like a mathematical formula.
Right.
Joe, what are your thoughts on this? Joe, oh, do I have you muted? I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You had me muted.
I did not realize.
I was saying things to you in the last story. I'm like, they can't hear me. They can't hear me. I replugged so many times.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot I had you turned off because it was echoing. Sorry about that.
All right, no problem.
Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, I think the bandwagon fallacy is a fallacy because most people that understand logic agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for that insight, Joe. A little bit more would be helpful. We do have 4.5 minutes left.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say about this, although it is one of my favorite fallacies, and I do hear it pretty often. The first time I heard it was years and years and years ago. I was dating this young woman, and she was Christian. She asked me what my religion was, and I might have told you the story before, Packard, but she asked me what religion I was, and I said, well, I'm atheist, and she was like, oh, which one is that? Thinking it was like a denomination. And so I was like, no, it means I don't believe in God. And so she immediately was like, well, of course there's a God. Most of the people on the planet Earth believe there's a God. And so
Christ.
I was like, oh, yeah, I know. And most of the people on the planet Earth can't agree on which God there is.
Right.
And some of them have more than one gods, and some of them have demigods and undergods and all these other gods. So yeah, the bandwagon fallacy is not proof of anything.
No, exactly that. If you're going to get on a bandwagon, go to the one that plays music. No, I'm just kidding.
Circle the bandwagons. We will defend our position.
Yes.
And if you want to get more on this logical fallacy, they have a site that has, and other ones, they have a whole list of these things. There's one site's called yourlogicalfallacyis.com. As a matter of fact,
which is a great website.
Yes, it is. We have a series of logical fallacies that are going up a little bit at a time, and they're up on the Packard Pokes At /YouTube, or YouTube /Packard Pokes At rather, and youtube.com/Packard Pokes At, and you can find some videos we're going to be making there that are being pushed out slowly, having some there. But anyway, we got about 2.5 minutes here. We still got to cover.
This segment brought to you by yourlogicalfallacyis.com /bandwagon.
If only. But another thing about the bandwagon fallacy is that so many people use this in ways that you don't really expect, because they'll try to hide it in something else, and then once you hear it, you will know exactly what it is. There's a lot of other fallacies out there. Let me give you a quick history of the fallacy here, so we can fill time. It says that Aristotle was both the first formal logician codifying the rules and correct reasoning, and at first informal logician categorizing types of incorrect reasoning, namely fallacies. He was both the first to name types of logical error and the first of the groups and the categories. Now, the results are in a book called On Sophistical Refutations. So, fallacies are damn interesting things. The bandwagon one especially, I mean, just because you think, again, I'm kind of reiterating this because there's not a lot to talk about on it, but because you think that because everybody else around you thinks the same thing doesn't mean it's necessarily true. You need to step outside, away from what everybody else thinks is true, and see if the premise of what you actually believe is actually true. Otherwise, you're getting into this fallacy, and you're just gonna somebody help me out here.
Well, what I have to say is that I think that this fallacy, why it works so often and for so long, I think that it actually is something that our ancient ancestors adhered to, is that it kept the population safe. I mean, if you see the skies rolling in thunder, and whether or not you think that that's the gods, getting angry or whatever, it kept you safe because you kept out of the rain, you kept out of the lightning, and so that there's some times, if you go in the water and every now and then somebody, gets attacked by sharks, for example, the idea that you should be careful at certain times of day when you go hunting, whatever, those kind of things kept the population safe. But the more that we understand things, the less we have to be afraid of things in general. So the groupthink is really a kind of a knee-jerk reaction that we have, I think, as human beings. There's a reason that we have it. It's sort of like why we're afraid of the dark.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
sorry.
Hey, did that help?
Yeah.
No.
It helped fill in the last 30 seconds there.
Yay!
So.
That was filler.
But overall, logical fallacies, they're very interesting. Please go and look them up, and we'll be posting some little at a time. So.
From yourlogicalfallacies.com, you can also, or yourlogicalfallacies.com, you can also get a poster that has them all on there.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's like $30 or something like that. But
they used to invite people to download the PDF and you could print your own, but then they realized they got reports that people were actually spending a lot of money printing one poster from this PDF file, so they actually was like, all right, you know what, let's batch produce our own posters and just sell them for affordable amounts of money. They have different sizes, and I can't wait to get one myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yay.
So
that's his wish list, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, for Christmas this year, I want the fallacy poster.
You'll get
actually,
he
wants a mug from Packard Pokes At from Cafe Press right here.
There we go. He's still waiting for his thong, I think.
Anyway, let's since we're out of logical fallacy, let's get on to our next topic for this evening. And our funny tweet tonight comes from Jessica Varsity. That's JESSICAVARSITY. And she says, a guy followed me from the grocery store parking lot to my house today, but he was hot and on a motorcycle. So it was romantic, not creepy. So remember, guys, if you follow some chick home and you're hot and on a motorcycle, it's romantic, not creepy at all.
Was he sparkly?
Maybe he was sparkly. I tried that with Joe, and he beat me over the head. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right. Anybody had a comment on this? No? Okay.
I want a motorcycle.
You want a motorcycle now? Okay. Anyway. Are you sparkly, Joe?
Be romantic.
Are you sparkly, Joe? Okay, let's get into our let's get into our shout out for this evening. Hey, you guys! Our shout out this evening is for Godfrey Atheist. That's GODFREYATHEIST. That's by me. He says on his page he's a human thinker, grew out of having an imaginary friend, and he's dating an atheism. It's ATHEISTEM. So you get two shout-outs for one on one tonight. The most amazing person in my life. He has some wonderful tweets. He's also, he only has so many followers. He actually has, last time I checked, about 930 followers. Please give him a follow. Let's bump up those numbers for him. Get him up there. And he's got some really nice tweets on his Twitter account. Shows a picture of a monkey, and it says BRB up on a cross. So I think that's I think that's hilarious. So, and behind that it says Christianity is the most perverted system that's shown on humanity, and that's a quote by Thomas Jefferson. I can't quite read it because of the picture and everything's kind of covered and everything there, but he's got a lot of interesting tweets. Please give him a follow. Again, that name is GODFREYATHEIST, and give him a follow and tell him you heard him on the show, or give his girlfriend a follow and tell him you heard her on the show as well.
I follow Godfrey.
All right, there you go. That's basically it for us. Yay!
Cool, because I'm going outside to watch a rocket launch, and then I'll come back and help name the show.
There you go.
I'm not joking.
Before you do that, if you want to get in contact with us, or if you want to make a donation to the show, go to patreon.com/Packard Pokes At. It'll show the link here. It says right on here. It says patreon.com/Packard Pokes At. If you would go there and donate $1 or $2 or whatever, then you can help keep the show running. Or if you donate $50, you'll get a free hat. If you donate $100, you get a free shirt. And if you donate $200, you get a free sweatshirt or hoodie. And I'm only giving away 5 of those. So far, I haven't given away any, but I would love to do that. I would love to have somebody be able to get a free shirt and help keep the show running, of course. But if you want to get in contact with us, we're going to give you all that information right now.
Would you like to contact us? Your host, Packard Sonic, and his very honored and crazy co-hosts, with occasional guest hosts, enjoy your comments or suggestions. You can reach us 28 hours a day, 8 days a week on A Can on a String, Smoke Signals, Star Trek Communicator. Those may not work, but you can contact us on Twitter as Packard Pokes At, and by email at packardpokesat@gmail.com. You can also listen and join in the conversation live Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on vaughnlive.tv/PackardPokesAt. You can find past shows on iTunes, YouTube, Mixler Radio, and Stitcher Radio. Help us out by rating, commenting, subscribing, retweeting, and reposting the show wherever you can. Click the like button on Facebook/PackardPokesAt to join in the conversation. Would you like to help keep the show running and pick up some awesome Packard Pokes At merchandise? Visit cafepress.com/PackardPokesAt today and buy hats, shirts, or one of over 300 other items that are also available. Visit packardpokesat.wordpress.com for links to the news articles covered tonight and more information on this or other episodes. We hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for listening and your support.
And thank you. Hey, that's Joe, you did a great job on that. You talk so fast. No, I'm just kidding. The way that you get it to flow just so nicely. So, whoops. Oh, sorry. I had you muted. I thought I unmuted you, Joe.
Again? Come on. Then you missed me saying, well, thank you. I try very hard every week.
You're welcome.
We love you, Joe.
We love you, Joe. But anyway, if you don't come to the live show, you're missing out on a lot of extra content that you're just not going to see on the cleaned up portion of the show. But if you're downloading the show, you do get some extra content that we don't play during the show. So the best time to come is during the show and then listen again later. And if you can also find the show on iTunes and YouTube and all kinds of places. So if you don't want to go to iTunes to get the show, go to packardpokesat.wordpress.com and there'll be links to the audio clips there, and the extra content will be on those audio clips. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming, and we'll see you again next week. And this has been Packard Pokes At. We just poked at your news.
And that's a wrap.